Well, part of that.
See it good? Who's the Hebrew scholar? What's the point? What's the point? Just showing off, or do you want to do something?
I did that yesterday, 11.
What's it say?
Fire of God is within you.
The fire of God is within you? What's that mean? Where'd that come from in the book of Thoth? Would you turn that off for me for a minute? I mean, what does it mean?
God works within you.
Okay, girl, settle down. Shut up or leave. Okay? I don't care which one you want to do. I'm cool with it. Just shut up. Okay? I don't think you paid your little money to come hear yourself run your pie hole anymore. Okay? Now what motivated you to put that on the board?
I was just writing it yesterday. I was just working on it.
Why?
I don't know.
Why didn't you draw pictures of daisies? Why that?
I'm trying to learn it better.
And what does this mean to you? No shit. What does it mean to you?
You said, they don't stay hanging.
Just leave it hanging. Your name will hurt it.
I mean, there's a reason you put it on the board and not in your personal notebook.
I've got it in my notebook, dude.
That has nothing to do with what I just said. Why is this here? Okay. Well, until you know, you might better refrain from putting shit up here. Unless you have a reason. Okay? And you know what the reason is, you just don't want to say it.
You wanted to show it off or wanted us to learn it?
I don't know. But apparently he don't know what it's talking about, so what's he trying to teach you? I don't know. But anyway, I ain't dogging you out, baby. I'm just trying to get you to think outside of your ego. Okay? Because your cleverness is what got you here. So maybe we'll do that. I'm going to start here again. What is this? What is a person? Just whatever. What's a person?
Whatever they make the person out to be, their avatar or...
Well, don't go there yet. Talk about... Because that's fine, the right answer, but we can have the right answer without knowing anything. You know? What is this? It comes from the Greek persona. It's a mask. And basically the Greek dramas, the way I understand them, drama, act, role, character, maybe some more stuff I ain't thought about, that the Greek dramas basically provided a mythos or a story world, right, that was pretty much mass media back in the day. That's how they taught folks what reality was and reality wasn't. And there were stories of the gods or whatever they did. And these real people would put on a persona and speak through this little hole that was kind of shaped like a megaphone. And they would act out a role in a drama. And they might have been a good person, a good persona, or a bad persona. You ever been told to be a good boy? Quit being a bad boy? You've been told how to act? Because most of these stories, they were good characters and bad characters, and that created drama or tension. There was some kind of struggle, and then a resolution, and then a lesson at the end, right? Y'all know, right?
Yes.
Lesson is another one. Have you ever been told after you've been acting a certain way in or out of character, and it resolved some way, and then did somebody ever say, have you learned your lesson yet? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. Right? Because the people who gave life to the fake, because basically person means be fake. If you're a person, you're fake. Literally, that's what the definition means. Right? When we begin to become conscious of self as separate from other, when we're little, the programming or the indoctrination begins to get us into the culture. This is who we are. We, Ben Franklin, we're Rosa, whatever her name, the bus driving lady, Rosa Parks, we're whatever. And we don't know shit. That's just the stories we're told. You know? We're told that these little lovely pilgrims come over with their little funny hats. You know? Because they wanted to worship God. Maybe some of them, but mainly it was people trying to get out from under the money system of England. Okay? Get out from the bankers of England. And when the colonists started printing their own money, it was on. They don't give a shit if they was worshiping Pentecostal wise or Plymouth Rock wise or whatever. It's the money stuff. We're told that the brave Westerners went out and had to fight off these hostile Indians. You know, my people are Indian, so I have a different take on that story. Basically, they come in and took people's shit and killed them and said God told us to do it. America. You know? America. There is no such thing as a nation except in your mind. A nation is just some shit on paper that we believe, and so we give it life. And we, as we come through this process, y'all grew up in church? Anybody grew up in church? Okay. Church, I mean, it's better than a crack house. But you may not learn some lessons that you need to learn. Because the one we say we're following says, do what I did. He said, don't call anybody father or rabbi, or don't have an authority between you and God. He says, don't be anxious for anything. He says, die so you can be reborn. He says, lots of stuff we don't pay much attention to. You know? And the way church works many times, because we take and leave some different parts of it. Like if the parts where it says if you eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. We go, well, he don't mean that. You know, no, we don't mean that. We just like the parts where it works for us. But functionally, our cultural church, it supports the idea that we are this character, that we are what the state says we are. That we are that person with this certain story who has a certain character and acts a certain way and has a certain role in our society. Right? Last weekend, what were we celebrating at church?
Pastor leaving.
Or the weekend before?
July.
America.
Oh, yeah, Mark.
Think Jesus is American? I ain't against it. I ain't against the idea of what it was trying to be, but it ain't been that for 150 years. So in church many times we're taught to learn our lessons. Did you come up Baptist church? Pentecostal. Okay. To learn our lessons, to learn the numbers, to be able to recite certain words in certain ways at the right time, to have a certain set of beliefs and mores in our culture, because Pentecostal churches have different cultural mores than, say, a highbrow Presbyterian church. If you jump up and down in the Presbyterian church, they're going to shoot you up with a hell dog. Right? But that's culture. It has nothing to do with God. In a Pentecostal church, many times, if you ain't jumping up and down, then you're going to hell because you ain't got the Spirit. Which is bullshit too. Okay? That's a cultural thing. It's like, I can only experience God when I'm at the Grateful Dead concert kind of shit. That's just emotion and biology going on in you. And we come up, especially y'all that was raised in church, there's this sense of alienation from God that's taught. And we kind of say, well, God loves us and all things are good and da-da-da-da-da. But there's not a lot of technology many times taught. The Pentecostals try to do some, because they'll try to get you in a circle and make you finally fall out or something. But James Brown and a Pentecostal preacher, if you turn the microphone off, look just the same. Y'all know James Brown? Ha! And it creates the same spirit. And you kind of lose yourself. If any of y'all been to festivals or rock concerts or whatever. I went to see Stained one time at the BJCC with my son, because he was into Stained back then. And they had their own worship area down front, except they beat each other up and shit. And they got lost in the, And do any of y'all just love music and getting lost in it? That's cool. Because it helps you transcend your ego. And you give up and you dance and you're free again. And which is a very righteous impulse. Even the scriptures say, become as a little child if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, and drop your damn mask and quit trying to be so clever. At least when you're dancing, you're not, or maybe, I don't know how you dance. And part of what I've been wrestling with for my whole life, and I'm starting to try to figure out ways to verbalize it, is, because I have a seminary degree. I have basically 2 masters in theology and psychology and philosophy and all this stuff. I got a piece of paper on the wall that says I'm supposed to be an expert. And with good intention and in faith, I pursued all that thinking there was some answer there. And all I ended up learning was how to write papers. And I learned some cool stuff and it was fine. But after all that stuff, after seeing that many of my mentors, realizing that, because in the pastoral counseling, whatever, I figured out that most of my professors were on Prozac. And these were the theological pastoral counseling, supposed to be the guru people about whatever. I didn't know. They was just writing books. Writing books about books about books. And saying words about words about words. And they traded that for, back then it used to be paper. Now it's just digital shit on a computer, ones and zeros, that we call money. They traded their life energy for paper in exchange for them producing other papers, in exchange for folks like me coming up there and giving them paper so I can learn to do papers from the people that write papers. And called it profound. And we learned back then that we used to talk about we're on pilgrimage. And that was very deep. You know, we had these little phrases that we would say and yeah. Like I've been hanging around the hippies, they got their own little version of their little stuff that they say. It makes you kind of knows that you're in. If you say the right word, I've seen them meet each other, they didn't know each other, and somebody says something, somebody says another, and they just hug. You're the family, man. You're the family. I love you, man. It's kind of what y'all do sometimes. You ain't been around this dude but 3 weeks, and you love him. You're full of shit. You don't even love you. How can you love another person? But I mean, it's not bad. I'm not dogging it. I'm just saying, wake up. Wake up. Because that's in this world. Playing your role. Because y'all, I mean, I'm looking, y'all got your little hats and you wear this and you wear that and you putting this thing out and you fronting this, whatever. And which is fine, ain't no wrong with it. You know. But what I keep talking about is that you're more than that. Much, 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 much more. You're more than the sum total of your sensory inputs and the program of experience that you underwent. This idea that you are good or bad. You remember when they came to Jesus and they were trying to blow smoke up his ass, and they say, "Oh, good master." Y'all remember this story? What did Jesus say? He said, "Why do you call me good? There is none good but the Father." You know, the whole idea of good and bad comes out of this drama. You have a good character and a bad character, and they kind of fight it out. You know, but Paul sat with this and struggled with this, because Paul, when we first met him, his name was Saul, and he thought he was good, right? He was the best of the best of the best. He was so good that he was going to help God out and kill them fucking Christians. Because you don't talk bad. I'm not just throwing that word out. You have to degrade a human being before you kill them and take their shit. Christian used to be a cuss word. Like engine or nigger or spick or kike or whatever. You have to label someone, a human being, as though there's some caricature, some comic thing, some personification of evil that makes them less than human. You know? So when they were talking about Christians, if you were in the 50s, it'd have been the same thing as saying nigger. Okay? Because this man ain't a nigger any more than I'm a cracker. I'm a child of God, just like he is. That is those labels are basically sorcery and brainwashing. Because if I can, like me and you talked about, if I can make you jump by saying a word, I just perform magic on you. Because you think you're this. And if you think you're that, I can spell, I can use words and pew, make you jump. You know? Does that make sense? Okay? Where Paul ended up, you remember when he was talking about the things I want to do, I don't do, and the things I don't want to do, I end up doing, and I'm just torn between this, the good and the bad. But he transcended it by acknowledging his identity in the Creator and in Christ. I am not the role. I am not this. I'm not the crackhead. I'm not the whatever. I'm not the whatever thing, label that somebody or even yourself puts on you. Because you're not big enough, I'm not big enough, I'm not powerful enough to create myself. I did not create myself. To claim that I'm a crackhead is to usurp God's authority in your life. God did not create crackheads. Or whatever head. Y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Because I think AA and chiropractors kind of do the same shit. They want to keep you coming back.
Yep.
It only works if you work it. Sometimes it don't work when you think you're working it. You're working the wrong damn thing. Makes AA work if you work it. And I'm not dogging AA. That's fine. You know, go where you need. Get what you need. But what you need is an identity in Christ or in God. Separate, more profound than your identity as male. You're not a gender. That's part of the trap we got these LGBTXYZ folks in. Acknowledge my pussy. Acknowledge my penis. As though that's who they are. And they're looking to what? To give them the rights to have a pussy or a penis. The government. You know, where's my boy? You know, however God made him, that's between him and God. And how he acts out his life, that's none of my business, none of your business. Unless he's shitting in your mouth while you're asleep. Then that becomes your business. Other than that, you ain't got time to worry about nobody else. If you're trying to really recover, if you're trying to be real. Because there's probably some folks in here that have trouble with forgiveness or whatever. Anybody? The deal with forgiveness is we retain some kind of right as though we have a right for vengeance. Right? Okay? And we put ourselves above those and judge them. But that's not true. Right? And what that... basically, it just traps us in this vicious cycle. Because the only way to maintain that victim status is not see the sin, the log in your own eye. And the way out of that bind is to come to terms with your own depravity and how you fucked over everybody else. You know? I mean, you mad at a woman today, how many women have you fucked over? Getting to her.
Yep.
You just found one with a bigger penis than you. Right?
Right.
She ain't a whore, no more than you are.
Right.
And the way out of that trap is deal with your own whoredom. Your own harlotry. Because when you're focused on yourself as a big gash between your legs, spreading it for anybody that'll give your attention to, that's where God can get into your life and redeem you, because that's real. That's real issues anyway. You know? Y'all might hear me? I'm not hollering. I'm just trying to give you the secret. Watch today. Observe yourself. Step back a minute and observe yourself when you feel irritated. When you find yourself in an argument with someone or disagreeing with someone. That's the best information you can get while you're here. It's what irritates you. What do you feel you have to defend? Because that is getting at least towards that part of you that you don't have any knowledge of. That part of you that will wake you up in the middle of the night and go, how in the hell did I get back here? Anybody ever done that?
Yes, sir.
And your answer is, oh no. Oh no. Well, you don't know because you're not looking. You're still out here trying to make it all work somehow. You're trying to fix that image in the mirror when the issue's the one looking at it. I create all this stuff. You create your life. People don't do stuff to you. Without some participation in it. The people I've chosen to hang around, the people I've chosen to model my life over, the things I've said, the things I didn't say that could have done something else. I did that. Nobody else. The devil didn't do it. I mean, Paul says, why are you blaming the devil? Look in your damn self. I think that's a direct Greek translation. Y'all can't read Greek, so you don't know. You're just going on what somebody says. That's mostly what religion is us going on what somebody says, and then we can blame them if it don't work, right? Well, I believe in the Bible. Well, it's okay. You can't read Greek or Aramaic or Hebrew. You're just reading what somebody says, something said. We've had 2,000 years of commentary around that mess. And I'm thinking they a little tarded because we've had over 2,000 years to come up with some different shit. We ought to have some more answers by now. Y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Other than showing up on Sunday, checking off your box, and not saying shit in church, and touch your pee-pee in the shower, and then Jesus will love you. You know? That's kind of what it amounts to. Are you a good citizen? Are you acting right? Are you playing your role? What kind of character do you have? Because you know what happens to bad characters? They lose. Eventually. That's the drama. You know? Be in this world, yet not of it. Is a question to ponder. What does that mean for you? Jesus didn't call you to be a good Christian. He called you to follow Him, to do what He did. Remember, Christian was a cuss word for a few hundred years. It'd be like saying, come be a good nigger. Come be a good kike or a beaner. When Jesus practiced religion, He practiced His Jewish religion by all accounts. But He was not a Christian. And I'm not dogging the church. But you can live and die in church and still not. Ain't that in the Bible somewhere?
Yeah.
But we went to church and we did this and we didn't touch our pee-pees when we was in the shower. We didn't say shit. So, belief is a wonderful thing, just like training wheels are a wonderful thing. But the intention is not to keep training wheels on your bicycle till you're 42. Because at some point, if we want to be set free, the Scripture says, you will know the truth, not believe the truth. You will know it. When you know something, you don't have to argue with folks about it. You don't have to argue with yourself about it. You don't have to defend it. You know it. And you're not going to know it from here. No matter how clever you are with your doing all your little fun things, your theology or your esoteric knowledge, your secret, hidden, forbidden knowledge or whatever. When you know something, there's really no words to adequately describe it. And our attempts, because words are not real things. If I say, this is a dry erase marker, if I say dry erase marker, you get this image in your head, but it's not the thing. You can know a lot about God, a lot about recovery. Anybody been to recovery more than once? Hell, you can teach them, you could run the rehab. If you could stay out of the coke, you know. Go around and, right?
Sure.
And you can learn all these lessons and be the top crackhead in the class. You know? And still not know nothing. You can believe things, you can repeat things that people have said that because there ain't nobody here doing it now, I don't think, but from time to time they will arise from among your ranks the new guru. You know, who a month ago was sucking dick for crack, and now he's peddling Jesus on you. You know, or whatever. Stealing from his mama, whatever. And he's going to tell you that your theology ain't right. Get the fuck away from somebody like that. Because the only reason somebody would follow them around is you got your own stuff. That somehow they're meeting that for you. You know?
Because you believe something but not know it, is what you're saying?
Well, yeah. Well, belief.
So I believe all
If
this
you
stuff
say you
like-
believe something, that means you don't know it. By definition.
So, saying that if I believe something, I still probably have to argue with myself or someone else about it. But if I know it, it's just concrete.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to.
I get it. So I believe all the stuff that I've been at meetings and rehabs, but I don't necessarily know it because I don't practice it.
And really doing the stuff you learn in the rehab ain't going to fix it. Just wait for it.
Okay.
It can get you into a position where one day you may begin to know. But rehab, just like church, ain't magic.
Right.
Just because you go through the motions and say the right words in the right place is not going to do the trick. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. The trick, because doing that still is in this world. I'm a crackhead, so I got to do this. Okay. My body owns me. My ego rules me. That's all in this. Okay. When we begin to understand that we are more than that, Because I did this a couple of weeks ago about understanding. Y'all remember that? And I talked about that a little bit. If I understand, that means I'm standing under something. Right? It's this. I understand it. But there is a peace that transcends understanding. I stand over it and I can look down on it. Does that make any sense at all?
I'm following you.
You know? I mean, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with learning and doing it. That's fun. It's great. That's part of the world, being in the world. But my root identity is not this. The root identity is I am a child of God. I ain't American, I ain't white, I ain't male, I ain't Southern. You know, those are part of the roles that I play and I act out, and my character is Plato's Groove or whatever.
Sure.
Because beneath or under, however you want to understand that or conceptualize that, there are no words. The Old Testament command is to be still. And then what? No. He didn't say think better. He didn't say learn your lessons better. Be still. Calm your body, calm your mind, let go of thinking. I said this the other day and I stole it from somebody, I don't remember. But you know how somebody just talking all the time? Talking. If they're talking all the time, they're not hearing anything. Right? And if they're talking all the time, that's really a defensive mechanism to keep people at a distance. I mean, it's just the opposite of somebody who never talks, but it's the same thing. It's a defensive thing. If they're talking, they're just talking. And the way our brain works is we think all the time, right? And then we think about what we thought about, and then we think about what we thought about. And generally, when we get anxious, we have almost like tape. Somebody pushes a button on an old tape recorder, right? And they start playing. And you know what? If you pay attention to it, you know. Many times we get those tapes going, and then we don't realize it until the police roll up. Go, oh fuck yeah, I remember now. I was bored. So I called the stupidest crackhead I know and see what he's doing. Or something. And that's about not paying attention. You know? Right? You hear me? It's treating this as though it's real. Because when you're hanging out with your bros, man, that's all bullshit generally anyway. Right? Everybody's fronting some bullshit. Looking to get a dick hard or a tingle somewhere. Or a laugh or some attention or feel included or whatever. So you put on your mask and you go hit the street. Right?
Yes.
Okay? And what I'm saying again and again and again is that is not who you are. That is not who God created. God created someone who does not have a spirit of fear, but power and love and a sound mind. Who can do all things through Christ who strengthens him. Fearfully and wonderfully made. Was chosen from before the foundations of the world. That's who you are. Y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
And y'all are reading What's Her Face of the Mind? And she talks about that a little bit. And that's good to help reprogram stuff, but that still leaves you in this part. You know? And I encourage you to start practicing that. Because words are spells. They're powerful. They create a reality in this drama. So if you throw a few counter spells in there, I'm good for you. Right? But what I'm saying though is that deeper than that, the one you were before you were born and the one you will be after you die is who you need to get in touch with. Because that's where God lives. He don't live up in this shit. We keep looking for God in here and He ain't there. That's why. And every once in a while your ego will break down enough and you'll get a goosebump and you'll experience a different reality and call it God. Yes, you know what I'm talking about? Yes. And it's good. I think it is, because you're out of your ego at that point. If you're jumping up and down in Bethel for the first time and you're free, that's where God lives, in the crazy. Or it seems crazy because we think this is sane. And it ain't. So when we act real and according to our nature, it feels weird. And you remember, boy, first time I hugged you?
Me?
You and him too.
Yeah.
It was all weird and you know? You know? But that's true. That's what ought to be. Not this motherfucker. Motherfucker, let me turn my fucking head around, motherfucker. Or, and people do that different. They might be the professor who scares folks into thinking he's smarter than them, or somebody that's got a wad of money that their dead uncle left them, or some shit. Trust fund boys. You know, whatever. They just front different ways.
Will the air cut tap your microphone?
Turn the air on, I guess. That's fine. What time is it?
I have no idea.
11:30.
Huh. What is the main command, or how do you get to heaven? What are you supposed to do, according to the story?
Know that Jesus died on the cross for your sins.
That's it with your mouth. Said Christ in your heart.
What does accept Christ in your heart mean? Y'all don't have a fun clue, so don't even be stop talking. If that's how you get to heaven, don't you think that would be important to kind of figure out? The main metaphor that I'm thinking about is we are called to do one thing. Die. Not say a magic I love Jesus poem. Right? Because what if you say it in King James and Jesus speaks New International Version? You fucked. Write that down in your book. Write that in your book. Do y'all understand where I'm going? Or ain't this what we're told to do? Mm-hmm. Any of y'all ever been suicidal? I have. The impulse is righteous. Okay? But people suicide though because they want to remain God of a universe that only exists in their head. They would rather hold on to their ego and their idea of themselves, because that's what caused all this struggle. I'm a good boy, I'm a bad boy, I'm a this. No, you're a child of God. I don't care what weird Uncle Harold told you when he had you in his special place. He was a lying pervert. Okay? And that'll fuck you up. It's a mind fuck. It is. Because it's really not even the physical part, it's the mental stuff that lasts for years and years and years when we attach our identity to that kind of stuff. Does that make any sense? I'm not minimizing it. I've dealt with it myself personally. I've dealt with lots of people who've dealt with it. Just because somebody touched my special place when I was little didn't make me other than what God created. Y'all understand me?
Yes, sir.
Just because your mama was a crackhead hoe don't mean that you a crackhead hoe's son. You're a son of God. She just let you borrow her badge for a while. Right? Maybe. Talk about my mom like that. But your mama would, my guess, or your daddy, whoever, even weird Uncle Harold. I'm guessing when they was 5 or 4 or 6, didn't get on the side of their bed and say, "Dear Lord, let me grow up and fuck up my kids." They were just like you when you were 4, 5, and 6, trying to deal with whatever they was dealt. And all that weird, crazy programming that got into them. And our attachment and our clinging to this keeps us in hell. It keeps us in a two-dimensional, fictional world where we never can find relief. Not real relief. We might for 20 minutes or something. At least distract us. I mean, some of y'all drunk so much before that you sobered up. You know, anybody? It's like, well, fuck this. Can't even get drunk no more. Damn. Do y'all remember that movie Constantine? Yeah. Where the priest was the alcoholic priest?
Yeah.
After he had sold to the devil or whatever. Went to the liquor store and there was liquor all around him, but he couldn't. And that's the trap of this. That's the trap of thinking our identity is rooted in a substance or a person or a role that we play, because it never will satisfy. Because it's in the mirror there. It ain't here. You know? And another thing this does for us is anxiety based. And we get these programs that say things like, well, one day, if you do this, you'll get that, which never happens much. And even if you get to that they promised, it's like, wait, really? Y'all know what I'm talking about? That's this, y'all. This is Monopoly. You're the little dog or the battleship or the top hat. Pissed off that somebody's touched your dog on the board. That ain't you. If somebody did you wrong, they didn't do you wrong. They did your persona wrong anyway, because you wasn't being who you were. If you was being real, more than likely you wouldn't been hanging around them people that would fuck you up. Right? Because, what's your name, baby? This Clayton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I watch you, Clayton, and I see sometimes you get anxious and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know what all's going on. It's none of my business necessarily. And you've adapted to that anxiety, whatever the root of it is. I don't know. And you have certain almost rituals that you go through sometimes, right? Okay. And it's based in your thinking and in your biology, right? Like something will happen or something will get built up, and then the thoughts will start, and then it's off to whatever, and then it'll blow up some relief. Is this bothering you, me talking about you?
No, it's good.
Okay. But after the end of that process, there's some kind of relief. It feels a little better, and you can settle back down, right? That's the same thing as people who have anger problems, or it's the same stuff. It's anxiety based. But what I wanted to tell you right now is that ain't you. Okay? You're a child of God. Okay? You're having a particular experience that is cooler than anybody else's has ever had, in a lot of ways. It's unique, you know. Because there's some. I'm telling you, you can believe me till you know it. That's the function of belief. You know, you might not believe what I say, but you might have a good feeling about me sometimes. And so you can go blame it on me for a minute and act a different way, and then you'll actually know it. I was thinking to say something else. Oh, it's anxiety based. Okay, and as long as we're in our ego, in our role, in our character, acting out this same old drama that happens, it's same old stuff. And we're looking in the mirror trying to do this, that, and the other. We're not addressing who we are at all. Okay? Some of y'all, most of us, in some way or another, come talk to me after a while, baby, if you want to. Have a lot of feelings that we don't want to feel. And we're emotionally constipated. We're stuck. Right? And the addiction ain't to the substance. The addiction is to this. Because the way out is this way. The kingdom of heaven exists where? Inside you. It's not some pie in the sky when you die you're going to get a stained glass house or something. I don't want a damn stained glass house.
No mention. No mention.
I want a spaceship and go all over the place. Or maybe we could just go like this then or something. I don't know. Sorry. Well, do whatever you want to do. I don't give a fuck. I just said what I want to do. Thanks for your commentary, because it was very important to me. Not. And so we spend days and weeks and months and years and decades trying to work out a problem or fix a problem that doesn't exist here. It exists in you. And you cannot, never, ever, ever, ever get any lasting relief until you drop all this stuff and experience the reality of who you are. And drink the last drop of the grief. Express the last ounce of the anger. Because it's chasing you like a ghost. It feels like a ghost. Anybody been paranoid looking at the blinds and shit? Okay. You were doing all, that was your soul trying to get your attention. It's real, but not in the way you think. All that stuff you think is spooky and scares you is actually God trying to wake you up. And until we know ourselves, look at ourselves, begin to make friends with ourselves, our real self will feel like a ghost in our life. When in reality, this is the ghost. Do you understand what I'm saying? We live our life as a ghost. And we establish different little rituals like he does. But y'all all worried about him, but ain't even got a shit. You ain't got a clue about your own. His is just easy to see. You know? He might be closer to getting there than anybody. He ain't got to go to church to shake. Right? My boy here can see shit. You poor bastards that can't. Right? Be you, baby. You know? So if you love yourself, if you know yourself, you're connected with God, you're not fucking around people or fucking them over. You're not lying to them. You're not taking their shit. You're not abusing yourself. And we spend our life wanting somebody else to love us when we won't. It ain't their damn job to love you. You bitch. Take the titty out of your mouth. Let your nuts drop. Become who God created you to be. Then when you begin to love yourself, then you can actually love another person. Forgive yourself and you can begin to forgive other people. Understand your own depravity and your need for grace, and you'll become very graceful with people. Because I'm selfish as shit. Okay? Because I read in the Bible that I'm going to be judged by the measure that I judge other people. So guess what? I don't want to judge folks harshly because I don't want it coming back on me. I'm a selfish son of a bitch. Because if I know me, I ain't got much room to judge other folks. You know? Again, if somebody's shitting in my mouth when I'm asleep, there's going to be some judgment come down. But if you this or you that or you think this, it's good for you. Y'all hear me? God don't exist in words, y'all. Any more than the Gulf shores exist in words or pictures. Right?
Right.
You've had some experience with it. You know the real deal, right?
Right.
If you want to know God, you got to go jump in. Surrender. Let go of all your little clever shit. Because you don't know shit. I don't know shit. In my head. You know, I've been doing it longer than most of y'all, so I got a little clever shit I can say. But I can't teach you nothing. If I ever say anything and you find yourself going, y'all ever done that? Maybe not with me, but with other people. You know, it ain't because I told you something new. It's because you recognize that you already knew it, and you're going, yeah. It's not me teaching you anything. There are no gurus. There's no lesson you need to learn. That's in the Greek, whatever. It'd be like saying an acorn needs to go to acorn school before it become a tree. Well, you have to go through this 14-week course on how to settle down in the earth real still and crack your ass open so the roots can pop out. Just pop your damn roots out. You don't need to go to school to be who God made you. School can help, maybe, you know. But it ain't going to help. It can only fake you out if you're not doing the first thing. Be still. Begin to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Breathe. Because we only pay attention to in this world what we perceive to be dangers, pretty much. We don't pay attention to our body unless it gets hurt, generally. Or we think our penis is too big, so we live in the gym. Or too little or whatever. And we walk by the mirror going like this.
Yes.
Well, I got to burn today, baby. And ain't nothing wrong with that. I ain't mad. It's fine. Do it. Don't hear me saying don't do stuff. That's not what I'm saying. But most of the time we don't have a clue of why we do what we do. You know? Because I lived in the gym for a couple of years when I was going through my midlife crisis. I was a bowed up, good looking 46-year-old dude now. But after a while, you know what happens? Them knees start hurting. And your rotator thing goes out on you. Because it was just vanity. Right? And my body is saying, boy, you're retarded. You need to pay attention to your soul, not what you look like in your wife beater t-shirt, whatever. Well, but there's nothing wrong with lifting weights. There's nothing wrong with playing ball. There's nothing wrong with anything. The problem comes is when we're lost in it. The problem comes is when we're sleepwalking and think we're awake. The problem comes when we're living in folly and think we're wise. And the trouble that comes to us, I think that it's God or our soul or whatever, not allowing us to drift very far in one direction. Because most of y'all, how many of y'all went to jail? To jail. Okay, and we're all mad about going to jail, but just think of what you could have gone to jail for that you didn't get caught for.
Yeah.
Grace abounds. You know, you've been happy to be here. You've been saying, I only have 90 days in Turning Point. I got 22 more years to sit up in here and try to protect my bottom. You'd have been thinking Turning Point was like Disney World, man. Y'all hear me? Because the trouble is the direction to go in. Because until we solve that, we just keep spinning our wheels. And if you're real smart and clever, sometimes it's harder because you can get away with shit longer. You know? But, I mean, nobody's going to come to this until you want to, so there's no need in me running my mouth. But if there is one thing that I said that stick with you, even if I say something to piss you off, explore that. Why did that bother you? Because I ain't nobody. Why are you? Who gives a shit what I say? If you've just given me power over you. Why? You needing a daddy figure that you can be mad at again? You know, what's all that about? It's all quiet. What time is it? What time is it? Okay. Anybody got anything you want to say or add or ask? All right, bye, Crackles.
Thank you.